Good afternoon. Welcome into another edition of Legal Access. We get together Thursday afternoon to give you access to different aspects of the law. Today we're going to be talking about premises liability, which is just a fancy way of saying if you get hurt on somebody else's premises, what are your responsibilities and what do you need to do to maybe get a settlement in your favor in case you are hurt on somebody else's premises. Here on the panel to answer your questions today from the McGuire Law Firm, welcome back to Brittany Jones.
Hey Dave, thank you so much. Glad to be back.
All right, it's been a while since you've been here. You've been out for a little bit.
Out on maternity leave for a bit.
Just to let everybody know.
Yeah, hey.
And also on your left, we got Tiffany Buffkin, also from McGuire Law.
Yeah, it's nice to see
and
you.
In addition to premises liability, McGuire Law Firm handles what other kind of cases?
Auto accidents, workers' comp.
Yep. Any type of personal injury, so
you
wrongful death, auto accidents, any type of negligence claim, and workers' compensation cases.
And to your left, Tiffany, we also have Rick O'Neill from the O'Neill Law Firm. And Rick, in addition to premises liability, what do you handle at O'Neill Law?
We pretty much do the same type of law with the addition of we also handle criminal law and DUI defense.
All right, before we get started here on the show, and again, the phone number's on your screen if you have any questions about premises liability. It's 848-8080. I want to remind people that Christmas is less than 2 weeks away, and if you want to help somebody out less fortunate, we got a couple of opportunities for you to do so. At McGuire Law, we do have a Christmas tree in the lobby. Go there and ask for Ashton. She's there in front, and she'll let you know what you can donate for Toys for Tots. That'll be up for the next few days. That's at the corner of 16th Avenue North and Oak Street in Myrtle Beach. And also right here at the TV station, as you heard Michaela say right before the end of the show, they have the Salvation Army Angel Tree right here at WMBF News on the frontage road just off Mr. Joe White Avenue. So plenty of opportunities for you to help in this holiday season, again at McGuire Law or here at WMBF News. Today's topic, like I said, premises liability. If you've been hurt on somebody else's property, what should you do? What should you not do? And Brittany, will start off. If you've been hurt on somebody else's property, what's the first thing that you need to do?
Sure. Well, if you've been hurt, obviously you might first need to seek some medical attention. But aside from that, you know, it's always good to have some sort of documentation of your injury, especially, you know, if you're out and about, there may have been, you know, negligence might be some part of it. Documentation might look like photographs. It might be an incident report, something like that. You know, definitely let the place that you're at know that you have been injured. And sometimes that can be difficult, you know, if it's a fall or something like that, you know, people might be embarrassed in one way or another, but putting that premises on notice, you know, that you were injured or that there might be a dangerous condition that exists there is important, not just for yourself, but also could be important for, you know, helping to protect other people in the future.
And if you go to a manager or an owner of a business and you say, hey, I just fell, and they don't fill out an incident report, does that hurt your case down the road and being able to get some sort of a settlement?
I wouldn't say it hurts your case, but certainly the more evidence we have, the better it is. So, you know, it's always good to have something, even if that's, you know, you write it down or you type it, you know, an email or something like that, and send it to somebody if they're not, you know, if they don't have, a lot of places might not even have a formal process for completing an incident report, you know, so to speak. So any kind of evidence like that you can create at that time, you know, to document your injury is good.
Premises liability is our topic here today. If you've been hurt on somebody else's property, give us a call and we'll answer your questions for you. We got Mary on the line with us now in Myrtle Beach. Hi, Mary. Thanks for calling up early today. What's your question for the panel?
Yes, sir. A quick question. I broke my leg at Outback by stepping around the car in a kind of a low step-down ditch, kind of. And I had an attorney in Manning, Clarendon County, for 3 years it went on, and I never received any, you know, remarks about it from my attorney. Do I still have a case?
So I would definitely recommend, first of all, if you haven't reached out to the attorney in Marion, start by reaching out to that attorney. And then, you know, the hard thing is if it's been going on for 3 years, there is a statute of limitations. With Outback, that would be a private entity, so you have 3 years to file a lawsuit. So if it's been over 3 years since the accident occurred, I would hope that your attorney has already filed a lawsuit. One of the ways, if you can't get in touch with that attorney, depending on the county where the accident occurred, you can go to the public index for that county. So if it's Horry County, you would go to the Horry County Public Index, search your name, see if a lawsuit's been filed. I would, definitely encourage you, if you can't get in touch with your attorney that you initially retained, to reach out to another law firm to kind of review it, see if maybe something has happened with that attorney, and kind of look to see if a lawsuit, it might just be that a lawsuit's been filed. But I would definitely encourage you to start by trying to get in touch with the attorney that you originally retained.
Absolutely. Well, Mary, good luck in your situation, and take the next steps, and we'll go from there. But if you have a question like Mary, make sure to give us a call. The phone number's on your screen, 843-848-8080. We'll get you on the air and get your questions answered today about premises liability. If you haven't heard on somebody else's property, we'll let you know what you need to do and not do, all right? Like Mary said, she got out of her car in a parking lot and she tripped and fell in an issue. What kind of responsibility does a business owner or a property owner have to make sure that a parking lot is safe, whether it's safe from a security standpoint or safe from a landscaping standpoint, if you want to put it that way?
Well, a lot of it's just common sense, but there are industry standards for different types of businesses to make sure that the pavement is level, doesn't have any surprise drop-offs, things that would create a trip and fall hazard. Things are marked. Sometimes the markings, that if someone does a DIY with the painting on the pavement, sometimes they don't use the right type of paint and it's slippery when wet. But I mean, there are recognized industry standards, and a lot of it's just common sense. I mean, as a business owner, you should walk your property on a regular basis, with a pad of paper, just noting anything that needs attention or upkeep or maintenance. Mm-hmm. If someone, one of your customers complains about something, address it, fix it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One of the things we see a lot of times in parking lots and other outdoor type areas are that are paved like that are like cracks and things, like where something's kind of fallen into disrepair over time. Right. And like Rick was saying, it's a great idea to kind of do a walk around and see what might need to be brought back up to good working condition. Yeah. Because cracks in the sidewalk, things like that maybe didn't exist, or that you, even if you didn't create it, if there's a dangerous condition that exists that you knew or should have known about, then that's something that, as the premise owner, you can be responsible for.
And if there's improper lighting, that makes it even worse, because then the customer or whoever, it doesn't even have to be a customer, just someone passing over your property, is not able to view that there may be some type of dangerous condition because of improper lighting at night.
Fantastic. Give us a call. The phone line's open. We're going to take a quick little break right now. We'll be back in about 90 seconds. Premises liability, that's our topic here today. If you've been hurt on somebody else's property and want to know what to do and what not to do, give us a call at 848-8080. We'll be right back here in just a minute, right here on Legal Access. Welcome back to Legal Access. Premises liability, that's our topic here today. If you've been hurt on somebody else's property, give us a call. We'll let you know what you should do and shouldn't do. The phone number's there on your screen, 843-848-8080. Give us a call and we'll answer your questions today. On our panel to do so, we have Brittany Jones and also Tiffany Buffkin from the McGuire Law Firm and Rick O'Neill from the O'Neill Law Firm here to answer your questions. Again, 848-8080. We were talking about security in parking lots, whether it's cameras or lighting. How about security inside of a business? I mean, it doesn't happen very often that somebody comes into a business and does something that they shouldn't be doing, like robbing the store or causing mischief or whatever. But if that's the case, obviously, if you get hurt when that happens, how responsible is the store for your injuries if you get hurt in an incident like that?
So if you get hurt due to the security officer or
Due
personnel.
to not having security
Yeah.
in a business.
So everything with premise liability and security is gonna really deals with the issue of foreseeability. So a lot of that will kind of depend on how safe is the surrounding area, what type of establishment do you have. You know, there's definitely liability for not having security, and then also if there are bouncers or security guards at an establishment, then there also can be liability on the establishment owner if somebody is injured due to the security officer. So it's really important to have proper training and supervision of the security personnel on staff at establishments as well. But the whole with negligence law, a lot of it boils down to whether, you know, we want to make and kind of encourage our communities to be safe.
Right.
So a lot of things, like Rick said earlier, really a lot of it's common sense and what is foreseeable. You know, is it foreseeable that someone will be injured due to a dangerous condition, and whether the premise owner has notice of
Right.
any type of dangerous condition.
Now, if somebody goes into a business, a lot of people think that premises liability is a lot of slip and fall accidents, and that is obviously a part of what goes on with that. But just because somebody falls onto somebody's property, it doesn't mean that they automatically have a case. I mean, obviously there has to be other circumstances involved with that too.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's a common misconception with a lot of people is, you know, just because you're injured on somebody else's establishment, the case law says that the premise owner is not the insurer of the guest safety. So, you know, a lot of with premise liability, it comes down to whether or not the premise owner was negligent. And that's whenever we're talking about foreseeability, whether they had knowledge or should have known that there was a dangerous condition. All of those things really come into play. One kind of area where, you know, there's a little bit of it, and it's circumstantial with some establishments, if you are injured, whether or not the premise owner was negligent. Sometimes there's a med pay policy. So if you were injured at, you know, a certain grocery store, if you call and talk to the insurance company, even if there was no negligence on part of the owner of the premise, sometimes their insurance will pay up to a certain amount of medical bills under a no-fault type policy. But not every premise owner carries that type of insurance.
And being right here on the border between North and South Carolina, there is a difference between laws in both of those states as to what you can do or whether or not you have a case, right?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of any type of negligence and workers' compensation law is very state specific. And there are some states who, you know, the laws are very similar. There's a lot of similarities with North Carolina and South Carolina, but there's also a lot of differences.
Now, we mentioned sidewalks a little bit earlier. Now, if you're walking along, not necessarily a piece of pavement that's owned by the business, but is owned by the city, and the sidewalk is cracked, or whether, you know, maybe it's raised because of tree roots or something like that, and you get hurt on a municipal piece of property, what's the difference between that and a private property?
Well, the government you know, starts off having sovereign immunity from civil suits. Most states have a state tort claims act in which they do allow civil claims for injuries to be brought against a municipality, county, or the state. There's usually higher standards to bring such a claim, and there's also normally, like in South Carolina, there's limits on the amount that you can recover, and also you cannot recover punitive damages from the government on the state level.
Yeah. And there's usually different time periods too
Right.
for filing a lawsuit, depending on whether it's a state entity or a private entity.
And we talked about businesses and their responsibilities to keep their customers safe. You know, we can also talk about what they call dram shop laws, as far as being in a business that serves alcohol. It's their responsibility to make sure that you're safe even off the premises, apparently. So, I mean.
Yeah.
If somebody, I mean, a lot of people have been talking about some of these stories that have been going around South Carolina over the last several months about somebody, if you've been drinking in the morning and you had not a daiquiri, but you had a mimosa at some place for brunch, and then you get into a DUI accident a little bit later on at night, that first place that you had a mimosa at first thing in the morning 8 hours ago might still be on the hook a little bit.
Yes, and certainly it's going to be case specific, but there is the possibility of, like you said, Dave, we call it a dram shop action, and so that's where we're looking at a business, a restaurant or what have you, someplace that serves alcohol, as served somebody who then went off and injured another person, that the business serving the alcohol could then be responsible for what that other person went and did later as a result of being intoxicated. And so it's a very specific area of law, but it certainly is something that we deal with. And it is possible, you know, depending on how much was served and, you know, whether or not that person looked or seemed or acted intoxicated at the time that they were at that place, because it's all going to go back to just like we've been touching on already, you know, what did that business know, or what was foreseeable from the actions, you know, that they took. So if they continued to serve somebody who was obviously, you know, grossly intoxicated, then yeah, they could be on the hook for it. If it was, you know, the place where they had their first mimosa that morning, you know, probably, and then they left and went and drank somewhere else, you know, throughout the day, I don't know, then, you know, that first place is most likely going to be, you know, less on the hook for it, you know, than the place that served them their last mimosa maybe later.
Yeah. And that's where really being religious in IDing people is so important, because the dram shop law, you know, if it's an adult, the question is, well, were they overserved from this establishment? If it's a minor, then you know, the establishment is going to be on the hook for serving the minor, and then allowing them to drive, even if they maybe didn't realize that they were driving away.
Yeah, and can also be on the hook then when we're dealing with a minor for the injuries that happened to that minor that they serve.
Yes.
It's different when we're dealing with adults. You can't go get drunk, you know, somewhere and then get hurt and then blame the restaurant for your own injuries.
Yeah.
That third party can bring an action. So it gets a little bit technical.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, especially careful with minors is very important.
Yeah.
And we should all, in this day and age, you know, be calling an Uber or something.
Yeah.
You know, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And give us a call if you have any questions about premises liability. If you've been hurt on somebody else's property, that's our topic here today, 848-8080. And most injury law firms will give free consultations on cases like this. So if you have any questions, make sure and pick up your phone and give a call to somebody, and we'll make sure, and somebody will make sure and get that all taken care of. Now, we talked about slip and fall accidents. We had some rain over the last couple of days and maybe some more coming this weekend. If you go into a business and you hit a wet spot because somebody just walked in with wet shoes and you slip and fall, even though they might have an orange cone up there that says, watch out, you know, floors may be slippery. Are they off the hook because they put up a sign that said, watch out?
Not off the hook, but it's a good start. So with rain or any kind of weather, you know, thing like that, snow, we don't get a lot of that here, but, you know, anything like that, it, again, I'm going to use the word foreseeable like 1,000 times today, but, you know, it's going to be what is foreseeable. So if they put up a cone or they put up a sign that says, watch out, the floor's wet, that's a good start, but it's not going to get them completely off the hook. But it's better than nothing, I guess.
Yeah, should they have had match? Is it foreseeable that, you know, it rains so many days a month, you should have a mat there at the door? Has there been a reoccurring problem with, you know, there's no awning or something at the entrance and people track water in? Has there been other type of injuries and slips of the same nature? So it is a case-by-case basis. But as a business owner or a homeowner, you should just do whatever, as much as possible to make your premises safe. And then you're usually going to be operating from a safe position.
Or can it be looked at as an admission of not guilt, or an admission of dangerous conditions by putting up a sign saying, hey, this is going to be wet here. Okay, you're already admitting as a business owner, you know that there's a hazard right there.
Well, that's true too, and it's going to come back to, you know, did that business take reasonable measures? And when we're talking about that, we're going to look at what kind of business is it. If this is, you know, some big national chain store that doesn't even have a mat out, you know, or an awning like Rick mentioned, then they're, you know, maybe they would be expected to have taken greater measures than maybe a mom and pop store, you know, that's a smaller business, and they, you know, don't have as great measures as, you know, some larger store might have.
Tell you what, we're going to run to another break here. When we get back, we'd love to answer your questions. Got a little under 10 minutes left, so we've got plenty of time to get you on. Give us a call. The phone number's on your screen, 848-8080. Give us a call. We'll get you on the air and get your questions answered today about premises liability right here on Legal Access. Welcome back to Legal Access, Premises Liability. That's our topic here today. If you've been injured on somebody else's property, give us a call. The phone number is 843-848-8080. Still got just a little bit under 10 minutes to get you on the air here. So don't dawdle. I don't use that word very often, but don't wait to the very last minute. Give us a call here and we'll get you on the air. One last reminder, if you want to make sure that somebody has a merrier Christmas, stop on by the McGuire Law Firm on Oak Street at the 16th Avenue North. And make your toy donation there for Toys for Tots. And also right here at the WMBF News Studios, Salvation Army Angel Tree is available for you to donate as well. So either way, you'll be going to a great cause and you'll be helping out somebody who needs a little help this Christmas. All right, premises liability. We've got a lot of pools in the area here, whether it's resort pools or et cetera. If you go to a resort pool and they've got a sign up that says, "Warning, no lifeguard on duty," are you taking your own life into your own hands? I mean, or if somebody gets injured or, God forbid, dies and drowns in a resort pool, what's the next move there? Have they exonerated themselves with a sign that says, "No lifeguard on duty"?
Well, it's definitely putting on the customers and the visitors to the property that there is no lifeguard. So, I mean, it's a step, but you can't sign away your legal obligations to make the premises safe. So even with the signs up, if you know that there's dozens of kids there at the pool every weekend and you're not providing for their safety, and this is sort of it's a case-by-case basis again. I mean, it's not a black and white answer.
Yeah. And it also depends too, I always kind of laugh whenever I see, warning, no lifeguard on duty or swim at your own risk. And then there is a lifeguard sometimes, because it really depends on what duties the hotel undertakes. So if you undertake a duty to provide a lifeguard and people rely on that, then that might change the standard of care. But with any warnings, whether it's a sign, a caution tape, really the question is, what, do you expect the invitee or the guest to be distracted?
Right.
And if you expect that the person is going to be distracted, if you expect that children, are going to be in the area, then there's usually a heightened standard of care. And so whether or not the warning kind of mitigates the danger or resolves the danger is going to be very fact specific. And then, if that, under the attractive nuisance doctrine with children, there's definitely a heightened standard of care if you can anticipate that there are going to be children in the area, whether they're supposed to be there or not.
Yeah, I was just going to ask about private pools. So, I mean, as far as being an attractive nuisance, which is one of my favorite legal terms, but still, if I was an attractive, I'd be an attractive nuisance. But still, I mean, if you have a private pool, is it a requirement in South Carolina to have a fence around there to safeguard the neighborhood?
So typically you are going to see that they do have fences around private pools, and I think that a lot of times that's because your insurance requires you to have that, and that's with children. So there are certain different duties. Tiffany's been talking about the standard of care, and there are different duties that are owed to people on other people's premises depending on the reason why they're there. And so with kids, even if a child is trespassing, you still owe certain duties to them. And so that's part of the reasons why we want to see those fences up around pools as an attractive nuisance, like you talked about. That's something that could attract a small child, to come onto your property, and so we try to keep them out by having these fences.
Rick,
in today's technology explosion, there's all sorts of inexpensive devices to make your property more safe. For pools, there's Bluetooth devices you can put in the pool that will text you or call you if there's any movement in the pool and so on. Cameras are cheap these days. So, I mean, as technology goes forward, that is another consideration on what your duties are.
All right, thanks for watching here today. Legal Access brought to you by the McGuire Law Firm. Next week when we get together, we're going to be having a year-end show. It won't be the end of the year, but it's still going to be our year-end show right here next Thursday. Remember, also give before the holiday season is over. Toys for Tots at the McGuire Law Firm on North Oak Street, 16th Avenue. Just go see Ashton in the front lobby or see Susan here at WMBF News and help at the Salvation Army Angel Tree. We'll see you again next week for our year-end show. Thanks for joining us here. I'm Dave Priest. We'll see you next Thursday here on WMBF News.
You may wish to consult a lawyer to obtain case-specific legal advice. Information regarding lawyers can be located online or by contacting the South Carolina Bar Lawyer Referral Service, toll-free at 1-800-868-2284. If you are currently represented by an attorney, you should direct all legal questions to your attorney. The nature of any legal issue may depend on a multitude of factors. Therefore, the information provided in this program is purposefully broad and does not constitute legal advice. Please contact